Killian Hayes off the bench. I personally love it. The last 2 games he's came off the bench. He's closed the game on Thursday. Before I ask you any questions, let me just share the numbers with Killian in his last 2 games. He's at 24 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, 4 steals, 9 of 20 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3-point, 3 of 5 from free throw, with 6 turnovers. Let me ask you the first question. Do you like this move to bring Killian Hayes off the bench?
I do. I know some fans on Twitter have been overreacting a lot. They're like, Ivy and Killian were just forming chemistry. Why are you separating them now?
Yep.
Like, what's the point? I don't really think there's a point with Dwayne Casey. I think Dwayne Casey just tries things out. I mean, after letting 150 points against the Bucks this past week, you should have expected a lineup change. I'm sorry, you can't give up 150 points, even to a team like Milwaukee. There was going to be a lineup change, and whether that's Sadiq off the bench, Killian off the bench, and Isaiah Stewart off the bench, it had to be done. And to your point, he's played really good off the bench, and he's finishing games. Doesn't matter whether you're starting or coming off the bench. If you're finishing the game, hey, I'd be happy. I'm sure Killian's happy with his playing time. And I think Jaden Ivey's kind of taken responsibility of kind of being that lead guard. I mean, that game that he had with, I can't remember what game it was, where he had like 12. I think it was the Brooklyn Nets game, if I do remember it correctly, where he had like 12 within the first like 5 minutes. And him and Duren really had a 2-man game like all night. Like he was looking for Duren, setting him up. I think a lot of Pistons fans are overanalyzing. They're like, well, they're not prioritizing Killian's development. They're prioritizing Jaden Ivey's development. I don't even think it's that. I just think Casey made a lineup change and it happened to work.
Yeah, and I think Killian Hayes being that lead guard in the second unit, which is something they have needed. Like, there's no Kojo right now, which, I mean, I'm sure a lot of Pistons fans are very thankful for. Do not even kid me and tell me you're not happy to see that. But Killian Hayes off the bench, where he still gets to be the lead guard, he still gets to have those responsibilities, and there's no pressure of him playing a different game alongside Cade and Jaden Ivey. Like, they were asking him to be a spot-up shooter with those guys. But now that, like we were talking about, the silver lining of Cade getting injured was we got to see the growth and the development of Killian Hayes as a lead guard, and he still gets to do that with the bench unit. I don't think that's wrong. There's going to be matchups and there's going to be games down the line where he's going to be closing games. So for people to whine and just cry and bitch basically about Killian Hayes coming off the bench because he's the quote unquote best player in Detroit right now, dude, you're fooling yourselves. Like, he's not going to start alongside Cade and Ivey next season. He is going to be the lead guard off the bench, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like we were just talking about with Hami. Everybody has to play a role for this thing to work in Detroit. Like, everybody has to. And if Killian Hayes wants to leave, which I don't think he will, just because he's going to the bench, fine, so be it. Find greener grass. I just don't think that's going to be happening because he got demoted to the bench. Killian Hayes has struggled with finding a place in the NBA, and he finally found one in Detroit. He's finally found a home. So I don't think he's going to be leaving. I think he's actually I think he's playing better coming off the bench. Like, it's the confidence is still there. Like, it didn't hurt him. It didn't change his game. He's still out there being confident, Killian. So I love the move. I love the move 100%. And I think it's just getting ready because this is going to be Killian's role going forward.